how to go to heaven, it is only natural to wonder what a person really experiences after physical death. Such an unknown factor, however, is a cause of considerable fear in the mind of the average person. The answers about life after physical death actually fall into two categories. We call these two categories human viewpoint and divine viewpoint. Human viewpoint is what people surmise about death on their own and which they then share with each other. This is the product of human reasoning. For that reason, we call it human viewpoint. On the other hand, divine viewpoint is what the Bible, God's record, reveals about death and about eternity. This actually is the truth about the matter. So to begin with, when we ask the question, how to go to heaven, we should not turn to people to find the answer, because what we will get is human viewpoint, which instead of leading us into heaven, will lead us into what the Bible calls the lake of fire. We should obviously turn to the Word of God and say, well, what has God told us in answer to this question? Because monumental consequences ride on the answer. All of us face two deaths. We have a problem to begin with what we call physical death. Human viewpoint has some very definite ideas about physical death, concepts that seem reasonable to man. For example, human viewpoint says that death means no more existence. That's wrong. Human viewpoint says that death means temporary unconsciousness, and that's wrong. Human viewpoint says that physical death means that one's good works are weighed against one's bad works, and that's wrong. Human viewpoint says that death means the end of one's body forever, and that's wrong. Human viewpoint tells us that physical death can be neutralized by the preservation of the body and by memorials erected to the person, but that's wrong. Now, in contrast to all this, there are some very definite divine viewpoint information from the Bible concerning physical death. This is God's absolutely, without mistake, information to us. Divine viewpoint says that physical death is a separation of the soul, that is the real person, from the body. The body in the Bible is viewed simply as a tent in which the individual resides. Genesis 35:18, which reads, "And it came to pass, as her soul was in departing, for she died, that she called his name Benoni, but his father called him Benjamin." Here is the record of Rachel dying, and here we have indicated that physical death is the soul leaving the body. Divine viewpoint also tells us that the body is temporarily placed in the grave until it is resurrected. 1 Thessalonians chapter 4, verse 14 says, "For if we believe that Jesus died and rose again, even so them also who sleep in Jesus will God bring with him," which is to say that those who are Christians who have died are going to be raised even as Jesus Christ was raised. So in other words, a person who dies will someday again receive his body. This is also true in the case of people who are not Christians. In Revelation chapter 20, verses 12 and 13, we read, "And I saw the dead, small and great, stand before God." That means they were resurrected. "And the books were open, and another book was open, which is the book of life. And the dead were judged out of those things which were written in the books according to their works. And the sea gave up the dead that were in it, and death and Hades delivered up the dead that were in them. And they were judged every man according to their works." Here, people, again, who are unbelievers, are raised in their physical bodies, no matter what happened to the dust to which the body may have decayed. Wherever it is, whether it's in the sea, whether it's in the ground, God says, "I'm going to bring all those elements, all those particles together, and the physical body will be restored again." Now that's divine viewpoint information. Believer or unbeliever, the destiny is to have the body restored. Another fact of divine viewpoint concerning death is that the soul and spirit of a Christian enter heaven in joy and peace, while the soul and the dead human spirit of the unsaved enter a place called Hades at death, which is a place of pain and of sorrow. You are not unconscious after the body dies. You are in a place and you are aware that you are in that place.